Hey there. Welcome. This is something a little different. Ooh, first person, big sword. What is this? This isn't Hades full on. What are you doing? This is a little game that is very near and dear to my heart called Warhammer: The End Times Vermintide. Specifically, this is the second one, more commonly known as Vermintide 2. I'm just gonna go ahead and get into a mission and I will talk about it more so that way you can kind of see some action while listening to my voice. Let's go ahead and walk into the portal here and away we go. So, this game is, I'm gonna talk over the dude talking here because, oh, I'm very sorry. There's a very cool motorcycle man driving past my house.
Biggest farm in the area.
Not sure if you all heard that.
Survivors,
So basically, this game is, it takes a lot of inspiration from another game called Left 4 Dead, where Left 4 Dead is a game about surviving the zombie apocalypse. You fight hordes of zombies. It is very much focused around 4-player co-op and getting past like just waves and waves of yeah, that's pretty much it. This game said, okay, so we're gonna take that gameplay, right? The idea of getting past waves and waves of enemies. We're gonna put it in the Warhammer universe, which I'll touch on that here in a moment. But instead of, obviously, since it's in a different universe, it's not zombies you're fighting. In this game, they are ratmen. They look like literal big rats. And let me tell you, they're horrific and I hate them. Just that's it. Oh, there's also other types. So here are the beast men. There are many types of enemies. But yeah, this is pretty much how the gameplay goes. Is you have different objectives that you're trying to complete on the map. You run around, and the many different hordes of enemies will attempt to stop you, and you just kind of cut through them. This game is very much about like sending hordes upon hordes upon hordes of enemies at you, and you just chop through them like a freaking hot knife through butter, man. That's the game, really. It's just good cathartic monster slaying fun. I hear a strangler. Now there are special types of enemies that will do things. So for example, the one I hear right now. Got him. So this dude is a strangler. He'll grab you and, as you may surmise, strangle you, and it's really bad, and your team has to help you. There are all kinds of different specials. I'll kind of talk about them briefly as we see them. However, I will go ahead and mention that among there being different enemy types, there are obviously different characters. So if you look on the top left side of the screen, you will see 3 other characters. Barden, Goritson, Corellian, and Victor Saltspire. There are 5 different playable characters in this game. And you can only have 4 people at a time, so you're never going to have all 5. Obviously, and that's just basic math.
There's no time to avenge the dead.
But they all play very differently. I am currently playing as Marcus Kruger is my character's name. I have a big 2-handed sword, and I swing it a lot. And then I can also switch to this little sword and shield, which is good for hordes at times, but I'm currently playing on veteran difficulty. I didn't want to play on champion just because I felt my commentary would be too rough on champion, so I'm playing down a difficulty that I normally do. Oh, well grabbed. Hopefully my bot will save me. Also, I normally play this with other people, but I'm playing with bots just because randoms in this game can be a very mixed bag. You can sometimes have a very great time with the random people, and you can sometimes have a very poor time with the random players. So, oh, here's a sneaky boy. There he goes. So yeah, I am playing, oh dear lord, Marcus Kruger, that's my name. There's lore behind all of these characters. I may touch on it occasionally, but suffice it to say, I'm a dude with a big old sword, and I like to swing it like that. Kruger's really good at you can kind of build him for any situation. He's the build I have is a very all-rounder build, whereas I can use the big 2-handed sword to really cleave through just massive amounts of enemies. You can use his special to eliminate pesky elites, which I haven't used yet, but you'll see here soon when I deem appropriate. And I can also switch to my sword and shield whenever I need to be tankier and kind of hold things for bits. Like that guy, bop. So there's Kruger's special. You pull out a big golden holy sword, and you bop a guy for his entire health, pretty much. You end his existence. There's nothing they can do about it. So I want to touch a little bit on, flamethrower, dude. I heard Strangler, but I think my bot friend already got it. So I want to touch a little bit on the Warhammer universe, because I am sure there are a lot of people here watching who don't know anything about it. So Warhammer is a fantasy universe akin to something like a Lord of the Rings, right? However, it is a grim, dark version, so there is still, I would still classify it as high fantasy because there are still things like orcs, elves, rat people, beastmen, and the likes. Sorry, I need to focus a little bit on staying alive right now. Beastmen are out in droves today, and they are upset. Hopefully they're not coming after me right now. So there's still all these fantastic creatures. However, it's almost closer to like a Game of Thrones than Lord of the Rings, where it's very, very dark. It's a very dire world where stuff's bad. There are horrible, horrible monsters all over the place. The humans and elves and dwarves typically have it very rough, and they don't like each other. And yeah, one of the big enemies of this game, obviously all we're fighting is Beastmen right now. I kind of wanted to see some of the Ratmen. They're the staple of this game. But one of the big enemies in this game is a faction called Chaos, and all of the enemies that you fight in this one fall under that faction. Where Chaos is, there's obviously a pantheon of gods, so there are good gods, and there are obviously. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say there is a pantheon of gods, and there are good gods, and since there are good gods, there are obviously bad gods. Chaos follow the bad gods. I'm not going to list all of them just because we'll be here forever listing all the gods. Nobody cares about that. But suffice it to say, they serve the bad gods and they want to do bad things. And we're trying to stop them. People in this universe have it very, very rough. Shit's very, very dark. And they're just trying to be you. I saw you jump against the bombs, loser. So yeah, one thing that I really, really enjoy about this game is, first off, Left 4 Dead 2, the game that it takes a lot of inspiration from, is very, no thank you, Mr. Chaos Knight. Left 4 Dead 2 is a very ranged-focused game. Obviously, you use a lot of guns. Melee is an afterthought in it, whereas this game is the opposite, whereas I wouldn't say ranged is an afterthought, but it is a melee-focused game. The character I'm playing doesn't even have a ranged weapon. Some of them do, most of them have a ranged option to some degree. They'll have like a gun or a bow or whatnot. But the character I'm playing, I instead get 2 melee weapons. And I get some other benefits because I don't have a ranged weapon. But I personally am much more, I find melee combat much more cathartic than range. Something about taking a big old sword and like lopping some sneaky, weird little rat monster's head off with it is much more satisfying than blasting it from the other side of the world with like a sniper rifle. And that's just a me thing. I understand that some people are like, nah, man, I want to be the sniper elite with my 300 confirmed kills. I was in the Navy SEALs. And that's just for a different type of folk. There's nothing wrong with that, it's just different. What are you doing up there, you weirdo? Alright, you can hold your arms out, do the Dark Souls well, what is it gesture up there. That's fine. First we gotta deal with the Horde. And this is how the gameplay really goes, is, hey, you're gonna get hordes of enemies and you gotta deal with them. Oh, here they are. Yep, here they are. Though on Veteran, it's really not that bad. You are going to see my frame rate kind of die. This game is oddly taxing, and I have not found a good way to optimize it, really. So I'm very sorry, but there's not much I can do about it. thought I heard sneaky man. Ah, yep, there he is, the leech wizard. What the leech wizard will do is he'll use his he'll basically force grab you and drain your life. It's really not cool. But I'm pretty strong for veteran difficulty, so I'm not terribly concerned. Gonna go ahead and open the barn, and spoiler alert, something's gonna come out of it, and it's not gonna be happy. We got a troll. Okay. So here are bosses. There are 3 different types of bosses. There are rat ogres, there are chaos monsters, and then there are trolls. Trolls are annoying because when you get them to a certain amount of health, they regenerate, so you have to stop the regeneration. However, this version of Kruber that I'm playing is really, really good at doing a lot of damage quickly. So bosses in elites typically aren't an issue. And that's another thing I want to touch on is that you'll notice like up in the top left, Barden has like a freaking mohawk and looks like some radical, crazy dwarf. Each of the different characters have 3 different. Oh, I'm so sorry. Had a nasty burp there. What's new? Each of the 3 different characters have 3 different characters. Each of the 5 different characters have 3 different subclasses, where it changes kind of like the passives that they get, a little bit their play style, sometimes the weapons that you can equip, and the special that you get. Now, Marcus is special in that he has 4. I am playing his 4th subclass, the Grail Knight, currently. What were you doing, guy? You didn't even jump, weirdo. And my special is where I pick up my big old golden holy sword and bonk a dude for all of his health. I don't know where I'm going with this. Each of the characters have different subclasses, so you can, it typically changes how they play greatly. So for example, right now I'm obviously melee focused entirely. I don't have a ranged weapon at all. However, there's a version of Kruber that is called the Huntsman that is entirely focused on range. He has passives that deal with ranged combat. He gets ammo back when you get headshots, and you play more of like a sneaky sniper type. And it's completely different compared to this version, where I have my big old sword and I swing it and chop up dudes most of the time. Just gotta spend my special sometimes. And that's really where a big meat of the gameplay for me is playing all of the different subclasses of the different characters. So, as another example, that version of Barden is unique in that he also has 2 melee weapons. He's the only other class, I guess, that has that feature. And he hits like a truck. He kind of fills the same role as my version of Kruber, but I can't really choose what subclasses the bots pick. In an ideal world, you would want to pick a different version. I don't need any health, I don't need any ammo, because I don't have a ranged weapon. There's normally a rot helm here. Here's where Kruber shines. So you see this big armored man, normally you fight him for a while, bonk, dead. Not even a problem, right? Like, this is why I love this specific version of this character, is because you can just walk up to, like, pretty much the biggest, nastiest enemy besides a boss that has a literal health and say, you're dead. There's nothing you can do about it. I have decided that your life ends right here and right now. Now, normally you kind of stay up there and funnel all these dudes. I kind of want to just get into the mix and start scrapping because that sounds like fun. Well, there are some ratmen. Okay, we're getting some actual ratmen. These are the flagship enemies of the game. Little rat dudes. They come in drones and absolute swarms, and they're not very tough. And honestly, you can take out like hundreds of them from the front, no problem. Their tactics are, we'll send 300 guys from the front, and like 12 guys will sneak around behind and get some licks in. And that's a worthwhile trade for them, just because there's so freaking many of them. Like, in lore, there are so gosh darn many of them that it does not matter. If it takes 1,000 of them to kill one of you, that's a winning trade in their book. You know, they're just gonna overwhelm, and they're sneaky, and they're crafty, and they're not good guys. Now, this game takes place, hence why when I mentioned before, it's called Warhammer The End Times. It takes place in a point in the game called, in the lore called The End Times. The world is ending. basically. The Chaos are knocking on the gates of humanity. We're not doing a good job of stopping them, and it's not really a spoiler, I feel, to say that we don't win. In the end, Chaos wins, and yeah, the world basically gets destroyed by Chaos and has to be rebooted. And then we get into a thing called the Age of Sigmar, which I guess I should talk a little bit about the origins of Warhammer. So I don't know if this is entirely true. I'm not a Warhammer expert, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. However, to my I got grabbed. What a guy. To my knowledge, Warhammer started off as what is known as a tabletop war strategy game. So if you've ever seen like the little plastic figures, the little miniatures, all painted up of like various Monster Man or Night Dudes or whatnot, that's what this game started out as. And basically what you did was you had a ton of them, right? You had an army of these little plastic miniatures that you would play essentially a strategy war game on a big old table against another person who had a similar army of... I didn't even realize we had to open all of these. I thought we just had to open one of them. Where's the other one? Right there. And so you had things like, for example, if I was playing, I'd be like the human guys based on my current character. I'd have just like a normal army of like Night Dudes. And I'd be, I don't know, I'd be like the Bretonians or something, an in-game country faction. And I might go up against another person who his army is a bunch of plastic figures of the Ratmen, the Skaven as they're called. And there are rules and whatnot for how the game would play, and you basically enact the battle, and there are certain objectives, and it varies. And that was the origins of this game, or of the lore, where, sorry, my brain has decided to stop functioning. That's kind of where it all started, basically. And from there, they have since expanded into video games, into various other actual board games, into all kinds of things, novels, and whatnot. And currently, the tabletop strategy war game with the miniatures is in what is called the Age of Sigmar, where Chaos has won, and that whole universe was basically destroyed by Chaos. However, one of the good gods, Sigmar by his name, has managed to sneak away some of the last bastions of humanity and elvenkind and just good people in general, and whisked them away into effectively heaven, and is working to try and reclaim the world. And there's just the lore in this game is really, really cool. Another thing that I will touch on is that this is also known as Warhammer Fantasy. There is another subsection called Warhammer 40k, and there's also 30k and whatnot, but basically there's Warhammer Fantasy and there's Warhammer not fantasy, I suppose. The not fantasy, I guess you could call Warhammer Sci-Fi, where it takes place in space. You're like you play as space marines and the likes, and you're fighting horrible alien monsters. And it's very, very different from fantasy, but it's still technically in the same franchise. And you will see a lot of the same like chaos gods and whatnot, a lot of the same deities. So for example, one of the big chaos gods is a man by the name of Nurgle, the big chaos enemy of this game, who is all about pestilence and decay and whatnot. And he is in the fantasy version as well, and instead of, you know, zombie-esque men, which you see kind of these like pale gray and green looking people, those are Nurgle followers. In 40k they look like actual, you know, they're wearing like spacesuits and stuff, etc. Just run for the exit. I don't really bother fighting these dudes. But it's a really, really cool franchise. It has a lot of really, really interesting lore. One of the best examples that I love to give when I'm trying to sell Warhammer to people is that there are orcs in this game, like again, more akin to like a Lord of the Rings. However, in this game, the orcs are also green-skinned bad men. However, the orcs have one very interesting attribute about them in this game, in that orcs exist entirely on the power of belief. And what I mean by that is that orcs can essentially will whatever they believe into, whatever they believe happens. So in, for example, in the 40K version, orcs believe that if they paint their spaceships red, they will go faster. And if enough orcs believe that, it actually happens. And so there's a really, really cool situation where orcs had, I'm kind of filibustering here because I intend to end the episode when I get to the end there, because I want to finish this story. There's a Chaos Warrior somewhere, my dude said. But for example, orcs fought this massive battle and lost to this like really well-known human commander. And the orcs that lost basically went back as they were like retreating. They were like, hey, we can't tell our buddies that we lost to just some dude, so we have to embellish the story, right? And they're like, oh, well, he was actually like, you know, a crazy superhuman monster man who could shoot laser beams from his eyes. And the story was told so much that one day that human general who beat the orcs, he actually gained the ability to shoot laser beams from his eyeballs, just because enough orcs told this nonsensical story. And it's just it's full of interesting little details like that that really, really embellish and enliven the world. But yeah, that's the end of this level. I kind of wanted to just do a quick Vermintide run by myself, show the game off a bit, talk a little bit about it, talk a little bit about the lore. This was very rambly just because there was a lot I wanted to talk about, and I don't really script anything. I might want to maybe grab some bullet points on things like this just so I can kind of stay on topic, but I like the stream of consciousness kind of deal. It's good practice for me. I didn't really focus on getting any of these sub-objectives. There are different collectibles you can get throughout the level that will upgrade your chest at the end here, which will give you better loot. I'll show that mechanic off a little bit here once the game lets me. You're kind of locked into watching all this stuff, which is unfortunate, but the reality. And then you get your stats. Ha, shocker, I got the most total kills, the most damage dealt, whatever. I'm the only real human being, the rest are robots. Who cares? So yeah, if I go and open this chest, so I got a merchant's chest. It's like the second tier, it's not very good. You get 3 items. Oh, excuse me, another burp came up. And basically the rarity is determined by the color. So these are green, pretty much garbage. I believe the rarity goes from white to green to blue to orange to red. And as you can see, I have all oranges and then 1 red, so I have no need for any of these green items. I'm going to go into crafting and burn them down, basically. What is this? Do I need that? Oh my lord, I didn't even have... I have a level 5 sword and shield equipped. Why? I was so much weaker than I needed to be for literally no reason. Okay, well, good to know. I'm also gonna go grab my stuff from the book real quick. Ravaged art, cool. Give me my actual art. But yeah, I think that will call it for this video. This game is very, very fun on higher difficulties when things get significantly more hectic. And it is also a lot more fun when you play with multiple people. So I may see if I can do a video or 2 of playing this with some of my friends, assuming they are okay with being recorded. I don't want to push that onto any of them. So I may do a couple more videos of this. I really, really like this game. And if I do, then you may see more of this in multiplayer. Or you may not. Who knows? Who can say? But either way, thank you very much for watching. Please check this game out if it at all interests you. It's very, very fun. If you have a group of 3 or 4 people who would be into something like this, I highly, highly recommend it. This game is really, really fun. It scales really, really well. There are a lot of different maps. In fact, let me show you. So before any of the DLC stuff, you get Helmgart here, which means you get all of these maps that you can play. So I just did one of them. And then there are all these other ones that you can do on multiple difficulties. Difficulty ranges from Recruit to Cataclysm. I played on Veteran here. If you also get the DLC, you can get these 3 maps, another 2 here, another 3 here, and then Winds of Magic is a little unique. I'm not going to get into the minutia of it, but there's a good amount of DLC for this game. There's a lot of different maps that you can play. It's just a fun old hack and slasher. Go kill some rat men. But that'll do it. Thank you so very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please check out any of my other videos. I really appreciate it. Again, I say this a lot, I am very new to video recording, so any feedback you want to give me in the comments, please do so, and I will do my best to improve. Thank you again so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your night, or whatever it is, a great rest of your week, a great rest of your month. Yeah, just have a good one. Bye-bye.